The Nikon Z7 III has been one of the most highly anticipated cameras in recent years, not just among loyal Nikon users but across the entire photography industry. Every new Nikon release stirs curiosity, but when it comes to a successor in the Z7 line, the excitement hits differently. The original Nikon Z7 set a benchmark for Nikon's entry into full-frame mirrorless systems, while the Z7 II built on that legacy with refinements in speed, autofocus, and usability. Naturally, everyone expected the Z7 III to take things even further. Yet, the story of the Z7 III has been more complex, layered with speculation, industry delays, internal company challenges, and unexpected shifts in Nikon's market strategy. To understand what really happened with the Nikon Z7 III, we have to dive into the rumors, the leaks, the competition, and Nikon's long-term vision for professional and enthusiast photographers. Welcome to my channel Tech Launch. Subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon for the new tech updates. When the Z7 II was released, photographers expected a relatively short cycle before the Z7 III arrived. Historically, Nikon had released successors in its DSLR lineup in a predictable cadence. For instance, the D800 to D810 to D850 progression followed a steady rhythm, each release bringing incremental but important improvements. With mirrorless, however, things became less predictable. Nikon was no longer just competing against Canon and Sony in the full-frame space. It was trying to establish dominance in a market where innovation was accelerating at a breakneck pace. Sony's Alpha 7 RV, Canon's EOS R5, and even Panasonic's S1 are put intense pressure on Nikon to deliver a flagship that could hold its own in both resolution and performance. So what really happened? Why did the Z7 III take longer to materialize than expected? And what does it represent now that it is finally part of Nikon's roadmap? The answer lies in both technological challenges and strategic decisions. Nikon has always positioned the Z7 line as its high-resolution, detail-oriented camera, perfect for landscape, studio, and commercial work. The Z6 line, by contrast, is geared more towards speed, versatility, and video capabilities. But with the market evolving, these boundaries started to blur. Photographers demanded both resolution and speed, and hybrid shooters wanted uncompromising video performance in addition to stills. Nikon could not simply upgrade the Z7 II with a minor bump in megapixels and processing power. It had to deliver something that truly redefined expectations. One of the biggest points of speculation around the Z7 III was its sensor. Would Nikon stick with a 45.7 MP sensor like the Z7 and Z7 II, or push beyond 60 MP to compete with Sony's 61 MP A7 RV? For months, leaks suggested that Nikon was testing multiple sensor prototypes, including a new stacked sensor design. A stacked sensor would dramatically improve readout speeds, reducing rolling shutter and improving burst performance. This would allow the Z7 III to bridge the gap between the high-resolution Z7 line and the speed-focused Z9. However, developing such a sensor and ensuring that Nikon's X processor could handle the enormous data flow was not an easy task. Nikon reportedly delayed the launch of the Z7 III to refine its performance and avoid the overheating issues that plagued some of its competitors. Another major factor was autofocus. Nikon has come a long way in mirrorless autofocus performance, but it has faced tough competition